Well, a new day, a new video. I'm guessing everyone saw what the Danganronpa announcement was. If not, I'll get you up to speed. A special interview is happening every third Thursday of the month with Japanese voice actor of Naegi Makoto and Nagito Kameda. Collaboration with the mobile game Clash Royale. And finally, they are decreasing how much you get paid for uploading video. Wait, what? No, but in all seriousness, the announcements that happened during the Famitsu Game Awards on April 18th were a collaboration with Identity V and releasing anniversary editions of the main three games, which means they're being ported to smartphones at a later date, which I really hope does get translated to English. I don't see why they wouldn't, since the games are already in English, but either way, that's a topic for another day. But the topic I want to talk about today is in regard to a recent discussion that I've been seeing floating around for a while now because of the 10th anniversary broadcasts, which is, does Danganronpa need a reboot? Well, before we get into that, I want to quickly discuss that people try to counter this question with, should they remake Danganronpa 1 and 2 but with the Danganronpa V3 engine? Which, sure answer, no. I hopefully am not being mean or rude here, but I don't see a point in this. I don't see how this would impact people to replay the game or look all too different from the originals. The reason why a lot of people play remakes in the first place, or why remakes have worked, is because at the time they were either lacking in graphics or they couldn't capture what the developers wanted for the game at launch. And yes, when comparing it, you can easily tell Danganronpa V3 has a way bigger production than the first two games. However, simply putting the game in the V3 engine and then reselling the game, that just seems really odd to me because there wouldn't be all much of a change. Yes, the sprite work would be different, the Clash Trials would look better, but Danganronpa 1 and 2 aren't games that you could say have aged badly. They are both perfectly fine and playable games even to this day, and they're on a lot of platforms like PS4, Vita, PSP, Steam, and soon to be mobile. In short, I don't see a point in this at all, since there wouldn't be much of a difference. So I have no idea why people want this in the first place. But you know, some people also want this. So, to each their own, I guess. Okay, back onto the original point of the video, which was, does Danganronpa need a reboot? Well, first off, we're gonna have to consider the story side of things. Since a reboot is what a lot of people thought Danganronpa V3 was going to be, where it reuses a lot of the existing ideas, such as the killing game, Monokuma, etc., but creates a completely new story and characters. And well, I'm not going to be talking about the ending of Danganronpa V3 as it's very confusing to create a shortened explanation for it, but we can see that the ending of V3 shows that it was not a reboot of the series like people originally thought it was going to be. So apart from that, the original story, which was from Danganronpa 1, 2, Ultra Despair Girls, and the anime, is all completed. I don't see a reason or need for it to be continued, so considering the story side of things, if they did decide to do a reboot of the series, so this way it'll be easy to create more games, anime, or whatever based on this new story that has potential to continue. So based on this, I can see a reboot happening, as it has been about 3 years since Danganronpa 3 and about like 5 years since the other games? I think enough time has passed for the reboot to be in the works. Now that the story isn't an issue, the next thing we must mention is the ideas that are represented within Danganronpa. My main point being is the killing game formula, which I don't personally see them getting rid of, as it's one of the main staples of the Danganronpa series, and it's one of the most well-known things about Danganronpa 2. I don't have any idea what could be different, really. They could, I don't know, go to Burger King, the last one to finish a Whopper gets an execution. I think that would work pretty nicely. But even if there could be differences in the killing game than what we have currently, I don't see them changing it, especially since it works quite well. Something that I thought about for a while was if they would be able to convert the killing game from the anime into a game. Again, don't ask me how this would work, because I would have not a clue. But just imagining different types of killing games, it's definitely something that isn't brought up a lot, and I would like a bit more discussion about this, since when it comes to new games or anything, like, I never see anyone talking about a different type of killing game. However, that also could be for the reason that people don't want it to go away or change too drastically. Now, considering gameplay, we could change a lot here. I'm not saying we should get rid of the truth bullet system or non-stop debates, as I feel they also represent Danganronpa really well, so no point in removing them. But I feel like they could easily improve or change how they work for this new reboot of the series. One example I can think of is that Danganronpa V3 introduced a new minigame to the Clash Trials, which was called Mass Panic Debate, which from personal opinion on playing this, I feel like they are a bit too short for a minigame, as I see myself and other people playing the game finish them way too quickly, and because of this, people just forget about it in the long run. So I would love to suggest having a gameplay similar to Mass Panic Debate, just not as chaotic. Maybe even being able to present multiple pieces of evidence up at the same time. And you know what? On the topic of V3, get out. On the topic of Danganronpa V3, it introduced some minigames that could easily turn into gameplay mechanics if improved or fully fleshed out. I already mentioned Mass Panic Debate, but we also have Scrum Debate, the minigame scene in the casino, which, in case you couldn't tell, this one in particular, I'm not naming it because it doesn't deserve it. I spent an hour trying to complete this and failed to do so. We also have Monokuma's Dungeon, which is more of an RPG type of game, and even though a lot of people will bring it up and use it as a starting point for a Danganronpa RPG game, yes, it could easily be proved upon greatly, but for a reboot of the series, I don't see them switching genres this drastically. I feel like the Danganronpa gameplay and genre we know of today is perfect, just, you know, changing it up a bit. Even so, all these minigames have a lot of potential to become full gameplay mechanics in a new game. Another thing I would like to see changed or improved on in a reboot of the series would be the free time events. They don't really affect the story side of things, and even if they do work well to help the character development, I would love to see this change in some way, which was if you hanged out with that person a certain amount of times or way more than everybody else, and let's say they got murdered, for example, pieces of dialogue could change depending on your relationship or how much you interacted with that character. But I really do think having the free time events affect the gameplay would be a really cool idea, because it's really hard to fully max out somebody's free time events, so most people just do it in a bonus mode outside of the main game. And thinking back on it, this just has a lot of interesting ideas that the Danganronpa team didn't really use, and I'm not saying about how brutal it was in the final product. I even made a video on it, which you can go check out, because I'm shamelessly plugging my own video. Who would have thought? But the game had some interesting ideas, such as a time limit to get the player more on edge, which they kinda did in V3 Chapter 6, but not really. There were other unused gameplay elements that were in Distrust that are not in the final release, so I'll go over them real quick. Even though it's hard to tell what exactly this did, there was a trust/distrust meter that was present in Trials. It was a meter to show how much the characters either trusted you or distrusted you, what you say during the Trials, which would create a lot more hospitality for the Trials and put a lot of people on edge. One way I can see this being good is, let's say you're in a clash trial or a certain event has happened during the trial, and how you present the evidence would determine how people trust you. Or like in Danganronpa V3, where how you can lie in certain non-stop debates. Maybe if you lie too much or lie in certain places of important information, it would build a lot of people's distrust meter a lot more. There was one time in Danganronpa V3 during Clash Trial 1 where Kaede said a lie and then Kokichi exposed that lie. Maybe if a lie is exposed from the main character, then it would build a lot of characters' distrust meter, making it so they wouldn't believe you as much. This would be really cool to see, however it would probably be really stressful at the same time. The only other unused gameplay mechanic seen in Distrust is something called Tough Decisions. This was going to be used to have an alternate endings or different pathways for the game, making different playthroughs a lot more interesting. However, I'm sure they realized being able to change who dies and lives at the end of the game could create some issues with what's canon and what's not canon. So even though it's a cool idea, I don't see this ever coming to the game because it's just way too many possibilities and way too many issues for the devs to handle. And with all this distrust talk over with, let's never mention this again. Goodbye. So in conclusion, I think a reboot of the series would be an amazing idea to move on, and it could create some really cool and innovative ideas to bring to the game, like with what I've mentioned in this video. Porting the games to mobile could be a good indicator for a reboot of the series, so that way people can play the originals before the reboot comes out. A bit confused why these aren't on Switch, but I'm sure it could easily be announced at a later date. I mean, we do have broadcasts happening every month, so it's going to be interesting what happens from here on out. And in addition, even if you don't agree with the points I made in this video, I would love to hear your comments or anything you have to say about the series. Just comment down below and I'll gladly reply, hear, or like them. I'm just glad I can create videos expressing my ideas and worries for this series and see what other people think about it too. One of the reasons why I love interacting with the community so much is so we all can discuss and have serious conversations like this. Well, maybe not serious conversations, but you know. So I just wanted to thank everybody for watching the videos and watching my videos, helping me grow. It just means a lot to me, so thank you. But wait, I just realized I have a really good idea for a spin-off game where it's Monotara's adventure to Burger King.